The Tar Heels have an opportunity for a massive victory tonight against a depleted Kentucky team. But to do so, they're going to have much better offensive execution than they did against Michigan State.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I am your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thank you so much for making us your first listener watch to get your Tuesday going the right way. Special shout out to all you everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders as well. So glad you're all here. If you're not part of any of those groups, now's the time to get after it. This episode's brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Here's where we're headed today as we get ready for this big matchup with Kentucky tonight. We're going to go straight into the Four Corners preview, where I give you 4 things to watch for in the game. Then we'll get into talking about Kentucky, get to know them. They're a bit of a mash unit right now. Who's actually going to play for them? We'll talk about that. We'll get to know them better. And then we'll wrap the show talking about the net rankings. Yes, everyone's favorite is here. Yeah, in all seriousness, the net rankings went live on Monday, and Carolina outside the top 25. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down. Also, for those of you who care about such things, Starbucks, my favorite holiday drink, is out now. They rolled a couple of them out a couple weeks ago, but now Chestnut Praline, my favorite, is out. You better believe I'm getting that bad boy today. Also, the reason I need to do that is because this game is very late tonight. It's slated for a 9:30 Eastern tip, but we are going live after the game. You better believe it. So get yourself some coffee and a nap and come join me tonight after the game. Here we go. Four Corners preview. Number 1. North Carolina simply must have better offensive execution than they displayed against Michigan State on Thursday on Thanksgiving. Now, to be fair, hear me say Michigan State is a great defensive team, but I thought Carolina didn't do enough to exert their will of what they wanted to do offensively against the Spartans and let Michigan State dictate the terms when Carolina had the ball. Gotta be more assertive and aggressive. And specifically then, for me, here's what that looks like. Attack the paint. Do not settle. Yes, take threes when they're there, and it makes sense, but that's not the focal point. This team, my assessment as after the Michigan State game was they should be taking in the range right now, at least, of 15 to 23s a game, not getting up to the 23 they shot the other day, making only 4 of them, oh, by the way. So again, attack the paint. That could be through getting post passes inside, entry passes. That could be through dribble. Whatever it needs, do it. And specifically, where is your biggest advantage against almost every team you play with this Tar Heels team? The front court. Get the ball to Henri Veesaar in a good position to score. Get the ball to Caleb Wilson. Let them go big to big because, man, they are a great unit working together. I want to see that aggressive version of Jarin Stevenson that we've seen. Being active, being aggressive. Some of it shows up in the box score, some of it doesn't, but man, it matters when he is doing those things. And again, he should have a height advantage at the small forward position. Also, think about he's played for Alabama the past couple years. I think they played Kentucky 4 times in his 2 years at Alabama. Does that give him any sort of advantage in this game? And I know it's a different team, but Mark Pope was there last year when Jarin Stevenson was there, and some of the same personnel were as well. Obviously, you would, to this point about attacking, you would love to have Seth Trimble's athleticism and ability to get to the paint, right? Like, I feel like every game it's like, oh my word, Seth would matter in such a big way. But alas, you don't have him. However, I should say in his media availability on Monday, Coach Davis did offer an update. He said, quote, I don't have a definitive answer in regards to when he's going to come back, but he's progressing fast and really well. He's shooting, he's dribbling, he's conditioning, and so it's in a really good spot, and I'm looking forward to when he can get back out there on the floor, end quote. That's encouraging to me. Obviously, you're not going to have him tonight for this Kentucky game, but still an encouragement that Seth is progressing at a rate that you want to. So yes, my key for this offensive execution, attack the paint over and over and over again. And yes, the three-point shooting has to be better, but that needs to be predicated off the inside game, not the other way around. And particularly if you recognize that it ain't working, this isn't the kind of team, at least right now, that should shoot themselves out of that slump. Like, find the best shots, and that is 95% of the time going to be on the interior with the front court. Number 2 in the Four Corners preview, strength on strength in this game is Carolina's 2-point field goal percentage defense against Kentucky's 2-point offense inside the arc. Here's what I mean. Carolina, right now as I record this, is second in the nation in 2-point field goal percentage defense, allowing opponents to shoot just 38.5% on twos. Kentucky, on the other hand, is 19th in the nation in 2-point field goal percentage offense, making 62.3% of their twos as a team. That makes sense with the Mark Pope kind of offensive style. He's got a little bit of some Nate Oates to him in that regard. That's what they did when he was at BYU. It's what they do now at Kentucky. And so Carolina has an opportunity because they kind of struggled a little bit with that 2-point field goal percentage defense in both games in Fort Myers. This is an opportunity to showcase like, hey, this is our strength, and our strength is better than your strength on the interior. But they are going to have to be adamant to make sure that happens. Again, this is where you miss Seth Trimble, but the length and athleticism and rim protection of the front court and the wings with Jarin Stevenson has to be a dominant factor inside the paint. And when you look at it, right now there are 4 Kentucky Wildcats who average at least 5 2-point attempts a game, and each one of them is shooting 53% or better from 2. That's part of why it's going so well. That's Otega Owe. That's Malachi Moreno. That's Mo Dioubate, although we'll talk about if he's going to play here in a little bit. And that's Denzel Aberdeen, the Florida transfer. So you got to find a way to mitigate the effectiveness of those 4 guys, but probably 3, because I don't think Dioubate is going to play inside the paint. If you can do so and force Kentucky to beat you from 3, which they can also do, they make 35% as a team, you might be in good shape. Number 3 in our Four Corners preview, take care of the basketball. North Carolina against Michigan State. Almost funny because it's the best defense you've played, but Carolina had the fewest turnovers they have had in a game all season long with just 8. It was the first time in their 7 games this season that they've had single-digit turnovers, double digits in every other game. So that's important, but it goes also hand in hand with what we talked about with offensive effectiveness. It is, yes, not turning the ball over, but it's also being effective with the basketball and doing all of that together. The way those two things complement one another must play in tandem. So take care of the basketball, but paired with offensive execution, because I can live with a turnover of aggression. What I can't live with is a turnover of unforced error, a turnover of a boneheaded play, things of that nature. So if you're going to have turnovers, make sure they're not of the live ball variety, and make sure that they are turnovers of, getting after it. That's what I want to see. But take care of the basketball the same way you did against Michigan State. Number 4 in our Four Corners preview. This is a bigger picture thing and less about X's and O's or what's going to happen on the floor, although it is about what's going to happen on the floor, and it's this. North Carolina cannot let the moment or the arena be too big for them. Here's what I mean by both of those things. By the arena, a lot of people come into the Dean Dome or go into Cameron or Fog Allen Fieldhouse, or in this case, Rupp, and it's like, holy smokes, this is Rupp Arena. This is where so many massive things have happened in the history of Kentucky basketball, and you're just in awe of it all. The good news for Carolina is that they're not some mid-major team who doesn't have one of those historic arenas themselves that people come into and ooh and ah. But let's be honest, when you go on the road to another one of those, there is that potential. So even though Seth can't be on the floor, he can help his guys be like, hey, look, yeah, it's Rupp Arena. It's a basketball floor, right? The whole thing from Hoosiers, the movie Hoosiers, where it's the same dimensions as our old gym back in Hickory, right? Like that's what we're talking about here. So don't let the arena be too big for you, but also don't let the moment be too big for you. Yes, this is a massive basketball game, an important basketball game. Carolina's last chance at a quad one win during non-con play. We'll talk about that later in the show. But you just got to go out and ball, play your game, do your thing. As we said earlier, be fervent in your desire and your ability to play your game. And that is what happens when you don't allow the moment to be too big for you. I could see, for example, Caleb Wilson, the moment will not be too big for him, but does he get too worked up because it's Kentucky? There could be that possibility. And so the veterans really need to take control of this moment, say, all right, boys, let's go play ball, and then do it. So there you go. 4 corners preview for this game, 4 things I'm specifically watching for. Now, the Wildcats are very talented, and they're very deep. But their depth has taken a hit lately when there are potentially 3 players that might not be playing in this game, including multiple starters. We'll take a look at that and get to know Kentucky better coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Omaha Steaks. You guys, the holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift. And that's what Omaha Steaks is. And they make it almost too simple for you. Maybe you want to treat yourself, or maybe you're trying to take care of friends or family or whatever it is, and you want to send something memorable to them. Well, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door, or again, maybe yours if you're treating yourself. And this week, right now, is the best time to jump in because of their cyber sale, which is going on, and you guys, the deals are huge. The quality of Omaha Steaks is exactly what you hope for. Incredibly tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting even a holiday event or even just a random weeknight so much simpler and easier for you to take and make. And the variety of Omaha Steaks is underrated. Yeah, it ain't just the steaks. They've got burgers, they've got comfort meals and sides and desserts. It's the one gift that truly fits anybody. And you can save big on these unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during the cyber sale. Plus, for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Again, that's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply, and you can see their website for all the details. Thanks so much for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or watch of the day. And thank you as well for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network there is. All right, let's talk Kentucky. And the biggest picture thing we need to know is who's going to play for the Wildcats tonight. Here's what I mean. Jayden Quaintance has been out all season long. He's the Arizona State transfer. He's a big man and highly regarded as one of the better defensive big men in the entire nation. And unfortunately, it seems like he's not going to play still till the end of December. Coach Pope's been kind of mum on anything official ever since the offseason. Even in the preseason, I was wondering if he would play in this game, and it just didn't sound like it. So there is no world in which I expect Jayden Quaintance, JQ, to play tonight, which you hate it for him, but you love it for the Tar Heels. You dodge a bit of a bullet there in the front court. Also, 2 players that have been out more recently, one of whom Carolina is very familiar with, Jaland Lowe, who was the Pittsburgh transfer. You might remember him. He's their point guard last year. High points per game score, not a very good 3-point shooter, but he can get things lined up and going for Kentucky. Unfortunately for him and for the Wildcats, he's only played in 2 of their 7 games this year. He missed the first game of the season with an injury, came back in game 2, and then got hurt in game 3 against Louisville, a shoulder injury, and he's been out ever since. Similarly, it's kind of up in the air. I'm going to read you a quote from Coach Pope here in just a second about him. But the tough thing for Kentucky, again, the good news for Carolina, is that he's the Wildcats' leading assist man at 5 per game. And so you hate it, but again, it is what it is, and you're not going to get any sympathy from us because we're without Seth Trimble. And then the other thing is they have another potential front court subtraction in the form of Mo Dioubate, who, funny enough, comes over after playing 2 years at where? Alabama. So he and Jarin Stevenson have been teammates for the past 2 years, and now we're squaring off in Kentucky, Carolina. He had an ankle injury a couple games ago and has missed Kentucky's last 2 games. And right now it's unclear how that ankle is progressing and exactly when he'll be able to play, if that's tonight or moving forward. Because keep in mind, we're not the only big game Kentucky has this week. They got to play Gonzaga coming up this weekend. And so it's a big week for the Wildcats and then a big season ahead after that. Here's what Coach Pope said on his radio show on Monday night. I waited as long as I could to try to get like almost this exact information so that I could bring that to you. Here's what he said on his show, quote, and this is in reference not to Jayden Quaintance, but to Jaland Lowe and Mo Dioubate. He said, quote, I'm not sure that they're going to be available tomorrow, which is today, but they're making progress. These guys are coming along. They're doing the best they can, end quote. So sure, Coach Pope could be sandbagging a little bit there, but he has never struck me as a sandbagger. He's more of a straightforward guy, and I think he would tell us like, hey, we actually think we're going to get both guys back or one of them back tonight or whatever it is. So as we sit here right now, I fully expect there to be no Jayden Quaintance. That's the one I feel most confident in. Jaland Lowe second, and then Mo Dioubate third. I think of the 3, Dioubate would be the more likely to play because ankles, can come along a little bit quicker than maybe the shoulder injury or anything like that. But legitimately, it would not shock me to not see any of those 3 players tonight for Kentucky, which again, we'll take it, but I do hate it for the Wildcats, right? You never want to see that. All right, here we go. ACC-SEC Challenge tipping off tonight. There are games, a whole bunch tonight, and then a whole bunch tomorrow. Remember, Carolina lost last year to Alabama at home in this series, and the SEC just absolutely dominated the ACC in this event last year. So our conference has to show better. This is Carolina's first true road game of the season. That's why that BYU game comes in such handy, because Carolina has been in a raucous environment with a high-level team this season. The game is at Rupp Arena. It is slated for 9:30 Eastern tonight. It's going to be after the Duke-Florida game on ESPN. So I also wouldn't be shocked if it actually ends up starting later than 9:30 Eastern. Ew, gross. I'm glad I live in Central Time. The game's on ESPN. As I record right now, the FanDuel line is Kentucky -7.5, and the KenPom line is Wildcats -9. I got to be honest. I thought Kentucky would be favored. I didn't think it'd be favored by a touchdown and change at FanDuel. That's crazy. I thought the line would be like 2 or 3 or 4, but there we go. So could be a great opportunity if you think Carolina can at least stay within that number. Series record, Carolina leads all-time 25-18, although Kentucky has won 2 straight, and they've won 5 of 7 and 7 of the last 10. So Carolina really needs to start reasserting what they're doing. Of course, one of those 3 that Carolina has won in the last 10 was the Luke May shot. Thanks, Luke. We appreciate you. Speaking of which, as I record, Luke's brother is doing work on the New York Giants. Let's see what the score is. 30-15 with 3 minutes to go in the game. But I need Drake to not do very well because I'm playing against him in fantasy. Let's see how that's going. It's like this. Both of us have these wildly high scores. Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to win. It's 192-184 right now. Thank you, Drake. He's basically not had to do anything in the second half, and that's what it is. Okay, back to what's at hand. The coach for Kentucky is Mark Pope. He's in his 2nd season with the Wildcats. I really respect Mark Pope. I think he's a great coach. Won a national championship at Kentucky. Good stuff there. We won't play them, but we will see them again in the CBS Sports Classic when they play St. John's. They right now are 18th in the AP poll. Carolina, by the way, holding steady at 16. They were picked 2nd in the SEC in the preseason, right behind Florida, who's struggling a little bit out of the gate here. We're going to talk about the net rankings here in just a second, but Kentucky is 15th in the initial net ranking, meaning this is easily a quad 1 game and ain't going anywhere. This will be a quad 1 game all season long. Kentucky are 11th at KenPom, 17th in offensive efficiency, 12th at defense. Very similar numbers at Torvik. Their record thus far is 5-2. And I got to be honest, I don't know what to make about what Kentucky has done so far. Listen, their 5 wins are Valparaiso, Nichols, Loyola of Maryland, not even the good Loyola, that's Loyola Chicago, Tennessee Tech, and Eastern Illinois. None of those teams are in the top 200 at KenPom. They're all outside the top 200. And their 2 losses are at Louisville by 8. There's a whole bunch of people that are going to lose at Louisville this year. That's a top 10 team. And then they lost to Michigan State in the Champions Classic by 17. That was the game where it was like, oh, Michigan State might be something, right? That was when I started thinking, oh boy, we got to play them in about a week or two. So Kentucky hasn't beaten either of the elite teams they've played, and they've been fine with the sub 200 teams at KenPom. So it's hard to know really what to make of the Wildcats for this game. Obviously, they're at home. That matters. The 2 losses, one was on the road, one was at a neutral site. So you come into this game a little bit blind in some of those regards. You know what I mean? Expected starters for the Wildcats. Denzel Aberdeen, who comes over from Florida, will be the point guard in Jayland Lowe's absence. He brings national championship experience. He came off the bench, was the 4th guard for Florida last year, but he is Kentucky's leading scorer right now at 14 points a game. He's got 3.4 assists a game as well. And then at the 2 at shooting guard is Otega Owe, who's the SEC preseason player of the year, second on the team with 13 points a game. Colin Chandler and Cam Williams will man the 3 and the 4. And then you've got Malachi Moreno, somebody who I kind of hoped Carolina would have more of a shot at, but it made sense. He wanted to stay closer to home. He's an Indiana kid. So Moreno has been the starter the last 2 games in Mo Dioubate's absence, who was the starter in Jayden Quaintance's absence. However, Moreno is not your average third stringer. This dude is having a wildly productive beginning to his Kentucky career. Like every time I've watched the Wildcats this year, his maturity, his game maturity has impressed me, like in a Caleb Wilson sort of way. He's got 10.6 points a game, leads the team in rebounds and blocks 7.6 and 1.1. So again, don't just hear third string center and turn a blind eye. This dude is very legit. In terms of the depth, Brandon Garrison, who was part of their team last year, Jasper Johnson, who, man, I really wanted Jasper to come to Carolina. He and Caleb Wilson are close. And so because of that, a lot of people thought Caleb might wind up at Kentucky, but Jasper is really, really kind of, think Ian Jackson in some ways, although I think he is going to be a better player than Ian is. That's just my early assessment anyway, but he leads the team in assists in terms of active players. Trent Noah will come off the bench as well. He was with this team last year. And then their big international import is Andrija Jelovic, who's very good as well. Right now, Kentucky has 11 players averaging 14 or more minutes a game. Obviously, some of that is because of the injuries sustained and neither Lowe or Dioubate playing every game. And so that factors into it as well. Let me share with you 2 other strengths of Kentucky's, and then we'll move on to our net conversation. The Wildcats are a really, really elite, strong rebounding team, particularly on the defensive glass. In terms of total rebounds per game, they're 4th in the nation, not just in the SEC, in the nation. They're 3rd in the nation in defensive rebounds a game at 33.6. But where Carolina has a chance to make some hay is on Carolina's defensive glass, where Kentucky is 103rd in offensive rebounds per game. So Carolina has an opportunity to do work there, but really need to, forgive me, rebound from the rebounding effort they showed against Michigan State. The other big strength of Kentucky's, and this is interesting, you might not have guessed this, especially with their leading assist man out right now, is that they're 8th in the nation in assists per game at 20.6. So one of the things Carolina needs to find ways to do is to cut off passing lanes, try to make them score one-on-one, try to make them forget that capability they have as assist men. One of the things that I think could help Carolina is they are a great assisting team. So how would you want to not be defended and then go defend Kentucky that way, right? So two big strengths in particular to watch out for: Kentucky's rebounding, and in particular defensive rebounding, and then their ability to share the basketball. All right, on Monday, the net rankings for the NCAA went live for the first time, and the Heels aren't quite in the top 25. Interesting. I'll talk about it and set you up and let you know everything you need to know coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about game time, y'all, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And it's got 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets to events like the World Cup is usually the hardest part. And that's why the Game Time app is so clutch. finally giving fans like you a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup a reality instead of an impossibility. All you do is pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion and no hunting for the fine print. I also love one of the features is that you can set up alerts for teams or matches, and that makes it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out because somebody else is looking at it and scrolling all the time. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Maybe you want to go to this game tonight, Carolina, Kentucky, last minute. Tickets have come down as low as right now I'm finding $73. That is a steal for a game in this magnitude. So again, download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game time. Yesterday on Monday, December 1st, the net rankings came out for the first time this year. It's everybody's favorite time of year. No, it ain't December. It ain't Christmas. It's net rankings. I know I joke because the net rankings are a source of annual, perennial frustration for college basketball people because it feels all over the place. It feels arbitrary, especially when it first comes out and the algorithm takes a while to adjust. And there's a bunch of weird teams in there at weird spots. And it's like, what are we doing? And then there's the frustration of why is this game a quad 4 and not a quad 3? And why is that one a quad? All of that stuff. But it is what it is. And it's a critical part of the NCAA selection committee's tool that they use to evaluate. In fact, that's literally its name, the NCAA evaluation tool. So the AP poll comes out on Monday. Carolina, even with the Michigan State loss, stays at 16. I think the voters, often I don't give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think they got the right kind of thing here. I honestly would have I expected Carolina to drop to like 18 or 19 or something like that, but there was just so much movement from Feast Week that Carolina played a Michigan State team that's really, really good, had chances to win and didn't. But even though they took a 16-point loss, they stay the same. However, the net rankings come out for the first time, and Carolina's not even in the top 25. Now, barely. They're 26th, but still. That's kind of shocking when the humans are putting Carolina 16th. However, let me give you a couple reminders as we get into this thing. When the net rankings first released, there are some doozies. If memory serves, the very first time the net ever came out, I can't remember the season off the top of my head, but Ohio State was ranked first. And they were nothing close to being the number one team in the like. There's some years where it's like, all right, that makes sense that Greg Oden's really good. But that year, I can't remember the specifics, but it was like Ohio State. What? No. And so just take it with a grain of salt right now. It's going to take a while for it to normalize a little bit. So here's some doozies right out of the gate. Vanderbilt, who's playing well, who's undefeated, but they're not fourth in the nation good, and that's where they came in the Nets' initial ranking. Same with Indiana. They're off to a really good start in their new regime under Coach Darren DeVries, but they're not 11th in the nation good right now. LSU 19, Butler 21, Yale 25. It's like, okay, that helps you recognize, like, let's not get too bent out of shape about Carolina being 26th right now, but they got to just keep winning basketball games. That's what you need to do to grow in the quad system. As a reminder, these rankings refresh daily. So KenPom updates in real time as games go final, but with the net rankings, no need to check it throughout the day, just when you get up in the morning, or if you don't want to check it, guess what? That's why I'm here, is to check it for you. So that'll be a thing. And also keep in mind, whereas like when you're looking at AP rankings or your schedule, it's wherever a team was ranked where you played them is where it stays. But the net rankings are fluid and they move and they change. So let's say, for example, I said Kentucky is 15th in the net right now. On the road, quad 1 can be anything from the team ranked first to 75th. Let's say for some reason Kentucky just tanked the season and they fell to 80th in the net. that would change this game from a quad 1 game to a quad 2 game. So things can change all the way up until the last day of the regular season. So just keep that in mind. Today's quad 1 game could change to a quad 2, and today's quad 3 game could change into a quad 2 or any combination of those things. So just keep that in mind. All right. So here's where Carolina's net schedule is so far, their results. Quad 1, they've played 2 games, Kansas and Michigan State, obviously 1-1 in those games. Quad 2, Carolina is 1-0 right now. That was the St. Bonaventure game. No quad 3 games yet, and the other 4 are all in quad 4. So Carolina's 4-0 in quad 4. As you look ahead, where things stand right now, again, this can change, but right now, of the 4 quads, the quad opportunities Carolina has the most of remaining, thankfully, is quad 1. That was not the case last year. Remember, you get into ACC play, and it's like, glad we played Duke twice, because that's about it. Carolina, of their remaining games, 9 more quad 1s, 5 more quad 2s, 8 quad 3s, and just 2 more quad 4s. So that's good. You don't want to play a bunch of quad 4 games because they can't help you, and all they can do is hurt you if you accidentally lose them. So, and the good news is I broke it down within that of non-con games and ACC games. So of those 9 quad 1 opportunities, only one of those is non-con. That's Kentucky. And the other 8 quad 1 games are in ACC play. That's nice. Of the quad 2 games, 1 is in non-con. That's Ohio State. And the other 4 are ACC games. Quad 3, 2 of them are non-con. Interestingly, 1 is the Georgetown game. That's a quad 3 game right now. So can't afford to lose that one. And then the other 6 are all in ACC play. As for the final 2 quad 4 games, though, they are both in non-con play. And then there's no quad 4 games left in ACC play. And that's good because that means you can't really take a resume killing loss. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I would prefer it if Carolina had no quad 3 games in ACC play where all you had was 1 and 2s, because then you can't take a bad loss. You're going to lose a few more, but they're not going to be resume killers, and that's good. And so if you want a reminder of the quad breakdowns, how do I know when something is quad 1, 2, 3, or 4? Great question. Glad you asked. If you want it to be a quad 1 game, it's got to be home. Well, actually, here's an easier way to do it. Any game at home. If it's a team ranked 1 through 30, quad 1. 31 to 75, quad 2. 76 to 160 is quad 3. And 161 through the rest of Division 1 is quad 4. So that's why when you think about margin of victory and stuff like that, if I'm going to play a game that's essentially a quad 4 game anyway, might as well make it somebody near the bottom of the pack, because if you play a 180 team and beat them by 2 points, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. On a neutral site, 1 through 50 is quad 1, 51 to 100 is quad 2, 101 to 200 is quad 3, and 201 and on is quad 4. On the road, 1 to 75 is quad 1, 76 to 135 is quad 2, 136 to 240 is quad 3, and 241 and on is quad 4. So there you go. That's the breakdown. I can update it all the time for you, so you don't have to remember those, but I know some people like to know what's going on with all that. All right, you guys, there's the show. We're ready for Kentucky. Massive matchup tonight. Again, the last quad 1 opportunity in non-conference play. Got to get this victory. We will be live after the game, so make plans to join in with us there. I'll send the link out on Twitter as the day goes along, or in the Locked on Tar Heels Discord for those of you that are in there, which is a great reminder to come and join us. That link is in the show notes. You can also join the Locked on Tar Heel Insiders program, where you get one-on-one conversations with me, access to all of the stats and data that I'm taking in real time all the time. You want to see that, right? You get free access to it as an insider. If you haven't subscribed to the show, do that right now. The numbers are growing all the time, you guys. It blows my mind. November was by far the biggest audio month we've ever had in the history of this show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all are the best. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tonight after the game, but until then, peace.